Inside of this room in the last dresser, you actually get a grappling hook. You can hold a maximum of 10 of these, and we actually won't be using them at all until the final stage of the game. The final stage also has them, so if you miss them here, you'll still be in good shape. Here is our first boss of the game. He jumps up in the air, and when he reaches his peak, he throws a bomb where you're currently standing. You have to shoot him exactly when he lands, or else you'll miss your shot. The timing for this can be very annoying. For the bombs, don't back away from the bomb until he actually releases it, because if you try to back away beforehand, he'll end up still being able to throw it at you. He doesn't choose a direction which to throw the bomb until he actually releases it from his hand. So when you're trying to get your timing right with that, just be sure that he's actually about to throw it completely before you decide to back away from it. After we cross a few power lines, we'll enter this sewer to actually battle our second boss of the game. If you still have your bulletproof vest, this battle is very easy. Just stand there and keep shooting at him. You can try to duck if you want to avoid some of the bullets, but the way he keeps firing, there's almost no way to dodge him. So just stand there, take the shots you're going to take, and just keep firing at him. Instead of actually continuing through that alleyway, which will lead us to the final sewer of this stage, I'm actually going to leave that alley and travel all the way to the left on this part of the screen in order to find a few extra health items that'll help us out, as well as to refill my ammo supply, which is pretty low at this point. After making my way all the way across here, drop down on this bottom part so to make sure that you don't take any damage. This is one of those games where if you fall from too high of a platform, you will lose some health. Inside this room, we open up the box to find a chili dog and a bomb inside of the other dresser, then move to the other room and watch out for the 3 laser grids that are moving across the floor. There's also some boxes on the ground if you want to try to get some extra items from them, but you're probably going to end up just getting hit by the laser. Open up the safe for a chili dog, open up the second one for another chili dog. At this point I have 5 extra health items, as well as I still have 3 extra hits I can take from my bulletproof vest. Before going back to the right to continue on, we're going to go inside one more building. In this building, you can change your suit back to the blue suit if you want to by jumping in front of the guy flipping the coin. And this place also contains one of the dirtiest tricks that this game has to offer. There's a room in this building that if you enter it, you're not allowed to exit. The door closes up, it literally laughs at you on the wall, and there is some health items in there just to trick you to say that, hey, this is a good room. And you'll try absolutely everything to get out of it, but you're stuck in that room if you go inside. Here I'm going to use 2 of my chili dogs in order to replenish my health back to full. One will only get it halfway, so I need 2 of them to get full health. This is the hallway that contains that one room that if you enter it, you won't be able to escape. It's actually the 3rd door in this place, so make sure that you don't go all the way to the right and enter the 3rd door in this building. The item I got from the box on the floor was actually a gas mask, which will allow me to enter the room into the right of this one. As you can see in this room, there's some gas leaking from the crack in the wall in the back of the room. But in this room, there's an extra health item, as well as an extra bulletproof vest, so it's very much worth it to get that gas mask to come in here. Once we exit this room, we're going to go back out the way we came. Make sure you don't go into that far right room. Once again, that's the one that will cause you to be stuck in that room forever. So here begins our long trek back to that alleyway where we fought that second boss. While making my way back, I'm going to make sure I don't fall off any of the platforms, especially while jumping, so that I don't take any fall damage. As well as try to keep any of the hits from the enemies to a minimum, so I don't lose any of my bulletproof vest that I just gained. Obviously, the longer that you can keep a hold of that bulletproof vest, the better. Once we drop down here, enter this alleyway, which is the one where we fought that second boss, but now we're going to actually go all the way through it to the opposite side. Now this is actually the last part of the street that we're actually going to travel through. We have to make our way along a lot of power lines in order to make it all the way to the right to enter the final sewer. Thankfully, you can travel a lot of the distance on these power lines, avoiding most of the bullets from the enemies. If you do see one of those gray boxes on the power line, if you accidentally walk into that, you'll end up being shocked and drop down. To avoid that, make sure that you drop down to a platform beforehand, jump over, and try to make it to the opposite side of it. Like right here, I dropped down to the platform and then jump over it so that I don't actually make contact with it while I was actually on the line. Even though technically I still hit it with like my head while I jumped, since my hands weren't actually touching the power line or going across it, it doesn't hurt me. As we enter this red sewer, as you can see it's different from the first sewer, this indicates that it's the final area of this stage. The buttons that we have to press in order to open up the sewer grates do look a little bit different, or there is multiple types. As you can see, the one I pressed there looked different than the ones I pressed in the gray area. And just like that first sewer area, make sure that you hit all the buttons on the wall so that you don't have to backtrack later on. In the sewer, the rats as well as the spiders that are crawling on the ground can hurt you. You can try to jump to avoid them or jump on them, and sometimes they won't hit you. Thankfully though, if they do touch you, they don't do too much damage. The electrical shocks as well as the slime will do a lot more damage than they will. Run up here to press this button, and now travel down. Our next area that we're going to is some of the hardest platforming that we've had to deal with. Once we're down here, you have to jump a long jump to make sure that you actually land on that platform, and then slowly shimmer your way across to avoid all three of the electrical shocks that are there. If one of them touches you or you miss your jumps, you end up falling and losing a life. Once you make it across, make sure you press that button before traveling down the ladder. This whole sewer part probably has to be one of the most boring areas of the game. Besides a few key platforming elements, most of it is just walking around in the waste of the sewer and hitting some random buttons and wait for the sewer grate to open up and then continue traveling through. Thankfully though, we are almost to the end of this area as well as almost to the end of this stage. While traveling through the sewer, be sure to try to avoid the remote control car bombs that are traveling around. Sometimes they'll just spawn out of nowhere and you'll have only a split second to react to them. The remote control car bombs are actually another one of those things that appear in this game that are actually from one of the Dirty Harry movies. The remote control cars actually appear in the final Dirty Harry movie, Deadpool. While in this room, watch out for the remote control car bombs that are going to keep falling from the ceiling. Platform up a little bit, travel over to the left, and then make it up to the top platform, and make a long jump into the other part of the sewer. Travel up the platforms here, avoiding the car bombs, and now we actually enter the final boss battle of stage number 1. Once you are in this part, use the ladder to jump up to the top platform. You can hit the valve that's in the background. Once you press the valve, quickly get down and then jump to the left ladder and climb all the way to the top. Once you've done so, you'll see that the water will slowly start to rise up. Once the water completely fills the room, it'll reach a certain point, in which case it will electrocute the guy controlling everything to feed him instantly, and then we actually have to use the ladder to jump over to the boat. Once on the boat, quickly get out your gun and shoot the ball so that the boat doesn't run into it. Stay on the boat though all the way till it reaches the right wall. If you jump off beforehand, you won't get the extra bonus lives if you stay on the boat. And even though that was the boss of the stage, we still have to travel through these sewers in order to reach the entrance to stage number 2. So when you finally thought it was done, no, the stage still has some more platforming and more electrical currents to annoy you to death. Thankfully though, we can avoid